The reflection for Friday the 5th of June is from Mark chapter 12, verses 35 to 37. Whose son is the Christ? And as Jesus taught in the temple, he said, "How can the scribes say that the Christ is the son of David? David himself, in the Holy Spirit, declared, 'The Lord said to my Lord, sit at my right hand until I put your enemies under my feet.' David himself calls him Lord. So how is he his son?" And the great throng heard him gladly. So what does this mean? I found these verses quite hard to engage with in a meaningful way. Jesus is in the temple surrounded by a crowd. Jesus is challenging the Pharisees, or the teachers who appear to describe Jesus as only a descendant of David, in an earthly sense, putting David in some apparent comparatively elevated status. Jesus challenges and corrects this by quoting David, who wrote Psalm 110, referred to here, where he acknowledges Jesus as Lord. The crowd clearly soak up his messages. They are listening with intent and enjoying his words. So I do understand that there is provocation here. Who is Jesus really? Another in the line of spiritual leaders? Or is he of God? Not just a man, but God incarnate. So the passage to me brought more questions than answers. The crowd were hearing, listening to Jesus, but what were they listening to? What were they lapping up? His challenge to those teachers, the Pharisees, or his message? In effect, Jesus is presenting an opportunity to the crowd, for those people listening, to consider who he really is, and therefore to consider his words and their meaning more fully. He's presenting an opportunity to get to know him more fully. So I started to ask myself questions. How do I listen? What messages do I hear? What time do I put aside to reflect on passages such as this, on my faith, how I live my faith? And at this moment, I can't help but relate this to our current world. The recent killing of George Floyd and the subsequent response of campaigns to spread awareness and provoke a change to our culture, hashtag Black Lives Matter, and the slogan, "I will never understand, however I stand." How well do we listen to the stories and viewpoints and experiences of the BAME communities and individuals? There are so many perspectives, views, leaders, all proffering solutions. Who do we listen to, and who and what do we choose to place our trust in? Particularly when the messages may not be always aligned and potentially confusing, just like the verses here. Is it the cleverly packaged message of the academics and teachers, or the passionate leader, or the personal story? How do we hear and listen to the truth? And then how do we build that truth into our actions and into our lives? So the passage, as I said, brought more questions than answers, and is something that I will continue to reflect on and bring to prayer, to that space that supports us to reflect and enables us to offer up everything in an active attempt to deepen our faith.